A pair of Democratic senators going after credit monitoring companies following last year's massive data breach at Equifax. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Mark Warner are here tonight to talk about what they're trying to accomplish. Senators, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Brett.
Talk about this legislation and what specifically it does.
So you remember last fall when Equifax announced that they had managed to not take enough care of consumers' data, and more than half of all Americans had their privacy breached. So their social security numbers, their credit card numbers, their phone numbers, their addresses are all out there in the hands of thieves. And here's the deal. It actually turns out that Equifax may actually make money off the breach. Now, Mark and I thought that was really a bad deal. And so we decided to put together some legislation that says when one of these credit reporting companies lets your data get stolen like that, they're going to have to pay a substantial automatic penalty for it, and the people whose data get lost are actually going to get some money from that.
So, Senator Warner, let me just ask this. There are not a lot of defenders of Equifax. I mean, both sides of the aisle. It's not a black hat that's easy to defend. But what do you say to people who say that this legislation is really punitive, and there are a lot of companies who have data breaches over the past year?
Well, Brett, this is not the first time one of the credit reporting agencies have had this kind of breach. We've had Choice Point, Experian, and what's particularly different about this relationship is none of us, I was one of the victims of the breach, none of us offered our data to any of these credit reporting agencies. We have a no direct customer relationship. We think in a world where data is going to become more and more taken in by companies, particularly when you're dealing with something as important as your credit history, there needs to be a stricter sense of liability. Quite honestly, we think there's going to be a lot of bipartisan support for this.
Understand, this is not a big regulatory approach. We're not saying the government's going to say you got to go this way and then you got to turn this way and then you got to take 3 steps and turn this way again. Not saying that at all. We're saying take the appropriate steps, because if you don't take the appropriate steps, you're going to have to pay a penalty.
I want to ask you a couple other things,
sure.
Broad topics. I look at the two of you standing together and I see kind of two sides of the Democratic Party. Who do you think
areas where we actually agree?
Who do you think is the leader of the Democratic Party right now?
Listen, I think what the Democratic Party has at this point is a broad base of leaders that range from very progressive to people who have been traditionally more pro-business, and we actually find ways to work together on the vast majority of issues. What does unite us, though, is the sense that everybody in this country ought to get a fair shot.
The right question is, where is the energy in the Democratic Party? And I'll tell you exactly where the energy is in the Democratic Party. It's down at the grassroots. It's down there person by person, family by family, who say, wait a minute, I got a stake in how this government works.
All right, let me give you a specific question.
And I'm tired of a government that works for those at the top and doesn't work for me.
So, Senator Warren, you said that the tax law was a giveaway, essentially, to billionaires and giant corporations. So if Democrats take control of Congress, would you repeal the tax law?
Well, what we have to do is change it. You got to take out the parts that are giant giveaways to big corporations that right now the Republicans plan for hardworking families to eventually pay for.
Sure, but you have companies, Senator, like Eversource in Massachusetts, the electricity company, announcing that they're going to give a big break to consumers.
And good for them.
And so which ones do you take out of the list?
Look, it is $1.5 trillion that the Republicans gave away to billionaires and to giant corporations. And they expect hardworking families to just pick up the ticket on that. I want those breaks to go directly to hardworking families, not to a bunch of rich folks.
Okay, you agree with that, Senator Warner, about companies?
Here's what I would say. One, I actually think, as somebody who's been on your show a lot of times being concerned about the debt and deficit, I think this bill is actually going to add about $2.2 trillion to the debt. That really disappoints me in terms of what we're passing on to our kids.
Okay, Senator Warner.
Let me just finish this one point, Brett. I do believe, and Elizabeth may or not fully agree, but I think there were some ways to bring back some of those profits that were caught offshore. But what we could have done in this bill was said, you want to bring those profits back, back. Yeah. You've got to invest some of those profits in actually training up people who are making, say, less than $90,000 a year. We ought to make sure that those communities that have been hit hard by trade actually get some of the benefits. There was a way we could have done this that would have been actually focused rather than the way it was rushed through with only one team.
Gotcha. Obviously, the Republicans point to the communities and the hard workers who are getting checks and seeing electric bills go down. But, Senator Warner, the House is on the verge of passing this reauthorization of Section 702 of FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Amendments Act. National Security Agency says it's crucial. The House can do it. It seems like Senator Paul is going to filibuster this. What do you do here? How important is this?
I think, as Vice Chairman of the Intelligence Committee, I think this provision is very important, number one. Number two, I think I have not seen any evidence of abuse. But I would say, number three, and this is very important, is that the bill that will come before the House that I've signed off in a bipartisan way, a number of us in the Senate have, will include for the first time ever a warrant provision if an FBI agent, for example, is trying to use this 702 information on a criminal case. And it will also make sure that the Bureau in particular categorizes all the 702 inquiries, so a year out from now we'll have a much clearer pattern for those folks on both sides of the aisle who may question this provision. We're going to have more data to give them to show if there needs to be further improvements.
It's just running out of time.
Yeah, we're running out of time, and that's why I think it's important that it gets moved forward in the next couple of weeks. We've got a lot that's got to be dealt with in the next couple of weeks. Candidly, I wish we wouldn't have punted so many of these issues, like the full budget, from September 30th to now January 20th.
Okay, Senator Warren, last thing.
And I should add, and children's health insurance, and community health care. We've got all these things that need to be taken care of.
You know, Senator Warren, on DACA, if you characterize it as border security and don't call it a wall, is there a deal that can be made with Democrats in this administration?
Let's start with the heart of what it's about. America made a promise to these young people, and that is that if they would come out of the shadows, if they would be vetted, that they would then have a chance to work in the United States, to go to school in the United States, to join our military, and that's what about 97% of them have done. And then Donald Trump said that promise is no good anymore. Now Congress has got to find a way to stand this back up. My view of this is America honors its promise. We do not deport 800,000 young people from the only home they have ever known.
Even if it means shutting down the government and having this battle if there's a win over border security or calling it a wall.
I don't want to see any of that come to pass. What I want to see is America honor its promises. And I recognize we're sitting down right now in negotiations trying to figure out who can give a little here, who can give a little there. But at the end of the day, the way I see this is we cannot say to 800,000 young people who right now are contributing to America, who right now we're hearing from their employers saying, don't get rid of these people. These are people we need in our economy. We cannot say to them, you will be deported from America.
The clock is ticking here. Senators Warren and Warner, thanks for the time.
Thank you.